Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in for another edition of our monthly educational series. My name is Katharina Kang and I'm the Mission Programs Director for Susan G. Komen, North and West Texas. You heard that right, Komen, North and West Texas. In case you haven't heard the news, last month Komen, North Texas and Komen, West Texas joined forces in an effort to better serve our combined 75 counties and to bring support to 16 additional counties that were previously not served by a Komen affiliate. We know that by taking this step, we will better serve our communities and do the most good for the most people. If you want to learn more about this update to our affiliate, please visit our website, komennwtx.org, and click on the news section to learn more. Now, today we want to explore a topic that has been integral to the advancement of breast cancer treatments, clinical trials. Let's talk about what they are, the phases of clinical trials, the pros and cons, some myths about clinical trials, and finally, how to sign up for one. Clinical trials test the safety and benefits of new treatment, as well as new combinations or new doses of standard treatments. They can also study other parts of care, including risk reduction, diagnosis, and screening. People volunteer to take part in these research studies. Before a treatment is tested in a clinical trial, it's studied in a lab. Even though some treatments seem to work well in the lab, they don't always work in people. That's why clinical trials are needed, to make sure that the treatment is safe and effective for patients. There are 4 main phases of clinical trials for new breast cancer treatment. A phase 1 trial studies whether a new treatment is safe to use over a range of doses. It's mainly a drug safety study. The treatment may be given to people with different types of cancer. A phase 2 trial studies whether a drug or other therapy is an effective treatment for a certain cancer, such as breast cancer. These trials include 25 to 100 people. If a treatment is found to be effective in a phase 2 trial, a phase 3 trial will study it further. A phase 3 trial studies how well a new treatment, including surgical procedures, works compared to the standard treatment. It studies the best way to give the new treatment to get the most benefit and whether the new treatment is better than the current standard treatment. And finally, a phase 4 trial studies the long-term side effects of treatments or answers new questions about the treatment. It's done after a new breast cancer treatment is approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Now, not all clinical trials fall neatly into one phase. Some trials may be a combination of 2 categories, such as a phase 1-2 or a phase 2-3 trial. There are pros and cons to consider when discussing clinical trials, which is why it's imperative to discuss the risks and benefits with your doctor before signing up for a clinical trial. Some pros are, you have the chance to try a new treatment that may be better than the standard treatment. Even if you do not get the new treatment, you will still get the best standard treatment available. And you are helping improve cancer treatment in the future by adding to research. Some cons are, the new treatment may not work as well as the standard treatment. If the study is a randomized trial, you cannot choose which treatment you get, meaning that you will be assigned to one treatment or another. And the new treatment being tested may have unexpected side effects. Now, we touched on something important when listing those pros and cons, which is that people participating in clinical trials will either receive the new treatment being tested or they will receive the standard treatment. There's a misconception that people who participate in clinical trials may receive a placebo. That is simply not the case. Everyone who takes part in a cancer treatment clinical trial gets treated. You will either get the new treatment being studied or the standard treatment. The second myth is clinical trials are only for people with metastatic breast cancer. Not true. There are many treatment-related clinical trials for those with metastatic breast cancer, but there are also many clinical trials for those with breast cancer at all stages. Breast cancer clinical trials study prevention, new screening tests, and treatment options, as well as quality of life issues. The next myth is, my doctor should decide if a clinical trial is right for me. The person who decides if a specific clinical trial is right for you is you. Doctors should discuss the benefits and risks of clinical trials with eligible patients, but patients make the final decision. And it's always a good idea to get a second opinion. Another myth is that you have to have breast cancer to participate in a clinical trial. False. Some clinical trials focus on non-treatment areas of breast cancer, such as prevention and screening. These studies often look for people who have never had breast cancer to take part in the study. Additionally, there are clinical trials for people who have completed breast cancer treatment to study the long-term effects of treatments or the survival benefits of lifestyle factors such as diet and exercise. We've also heard the myth that clinical trials are only available at large cancer centers. Clinical trials take place across the country and around the world in many types of medical centers, hospitals, and clinics. Finally, it is a myth that if you choose to enter a breast cancer trial, that you have to stay in the trial no matter what. Before joining a trial, a research coordinator, doctor, or nurse will review the risks and benefits of the study through a process called informed consent. You'll get a chance to go over the study protocol and get answers to questions you may have. If you decide to join the study, you will be asked for your written permission on a document called a consent form. However, consenting and giving written permission to join the study doesn't force you to stay in the study. You may leave the trial at any time for any reason. You might be wondering what the cost is to be in a clinical trial. The cost of a new treatment or test being studied is usually paid by the organization conducting the clinical trial. The Affordable Care Act requires insurance companies to cover non-research standard care costs related to a clinical trial, not covered by the trial itself, plus any standard treatment given. Before enrolling in a clinical trial, talk with your insurance provider and find out exactly which costs are covered and which are not. This ensures you don't have any unexpected costs, such as going to a lab or a provider which may be out of network. Clinical trial enrollment by adults in the United States is less than 5%, and of these participants, fewer than 10% are members of racial or ethnic communities who often face higher breast cancer mortality rates. Some of the myths we discussed earlier could contribute to those low numbers, but another major reason is that people just aren't sure how to find a clinical trial, and that's where Komen comes in. We've helped create a collection of tools and resources to make it easy to find and enroll in clinical trials. First, Komen offers a helpline for those in need of clinical trial information, support, and resources. To access the helpline, you can call 1-877-GO-KOMEN or email clinicaltrialinfo.org. Second, Komen has collaborated with breastcancertrials.org to provide a custom matching service to help you find a clinical trial that fits your needs. We also provide a metastatic trial search tool. Finally, by visiting Komen.org, we have links to other websites like the National Cancer Institute and the National Institutes of Health, where even more clinical trial information is available. Considering participation in a clinical trial can seem daunting at first, but with the resources that we provide, plus the help and knowledge of your doctor, you can be armed with the information you need to make the best decision for you. Many of our Komen scholars have led or contributed to clinical trials, including this month's spotlight, Cornelia Polyak. Dr. Polyak, MD, PhD, is a professor of medical oncology, molecular and cellular oncology at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Harvard Medical School in Boston, Massachusetts. She is principal faculty at the Harvard Stem Cell Institute and is associate member at the Broad Institute. Dr. Polyak has dedicated her research to the molecular analysis of breast cancer with the goal of improving the clinical management of breast cancer patients. She has been at the forefront of studies analyzing the expression of genes from normal and ductal carcinoma in situ, DCIS, at the single cell level and applying mathematical and ecological models to better understand breast tumor evolution. Her work has shed light on tumor evolution in women carrying BRCA1/2 mutation, as well as deciphered the large diversity of cells within a tumor. Dr. Polyak never loses track of her goal of eradicating suffering from breast cancer and pushes her findings to the clinics, including the testing and clinical trials of the effectiveness of Janus kinase, JAK, and bromodomain and extraterminal proteins, BET, inhibitors for the treatment of triple-negative breast cancer. You can learn more about Dr. Polyak and the rest of our Komen scholars at komen.org/meetOurScholars. That's all we have for this month. Don't forget, early bird rates are happening right now for the Amarillo More Than Pink Walk, the Lubbock More Than Pink Walk, and the Wichita Falls Race for the Cure. Visit KomenNWTX.org to learn more and to sign up for these events. Talk to you next month.